Oh, wait. Okay, we're good.
With the seventh senior football player who has shown leadership on the field and in the college classroom and in the community. Evan certainly has done that, highlighted by the services to Special Olympics, children's hospitals, and youth camps, and as a two-time SEC Community Service Team member. He is an internet marketing and communications manager with the intention of pursuing a career in broadcast communications and journalism and marketing when his playing career will be over. He is named for the He was a team captain at Ole Miss, the school's all-time leader in receptions and receiving yards by the tight end, and the nation's leader in receptions and receiving yards as a tight end. As John Butler has said, Evan is an exceptional representative of our great sport, the university, and its community. We are proud to present him with the Pop Warner Little Scholar College Football Award. Evan will now perform the coin toss.
Tails it is.
Tails. All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's the beginning of the coin toss for the Challenger division of the Pop Warner National Championship. I'm Rick Horrow, and welcome to Keeping Score. Welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard. Welcome to our podcast / Facebook that describes inside look at a variety of different kinds of things. Today, it's a combination of things. The fun and diversity that is Pop Warner. We'll talk not only to John Butler, the executive director, about the football side of this, which is about 225,000 participants around the globe, 10 million alum, by the way, but also the cheer side of this. Kelly Nicholson talking about, oh, wait, time out. I guess Mickey Mouse. Yeah, this is Disney. So only at Disney would you have Mickey Mouse carrying out the first ball. And by the way, 32 NFL teams, I think probably a lot of the guys would appreciate that because he's not going to get tackled. I think that's one of the deals. So that's enough diversion. From a serious perspective, Disney has become the industry leader in sports facilities. Just to take a look at it, 70 sports, 225 acres, 100 plus events a year. The biggest non-Disney related event at this facility happens to be the Pop Warner Super Bowl, with over 10,000 athletes on the Guys Week with John Butler, the executive director. We'll also talk about the cheer and the dance side of this, by the way, which was just named a... Are we still okay? Good. People are calling left and right. We're talking about Pop Warner, championship, but it also talks about the number of events, nearly 100 events here with football and 415 cheer squads. I'm stealing John Butler's thunder. John Butler is the executive director and basically the chief executive officer of Pop Warner. Full disclosure, I've been on the Pop Warner board. We're going to ask the tough questions anyway because it's a very important understanding of youth football, youth sports, youth dance, youth cheer. John, how are you?
Great. How can you be bad on a day like this with these kids out here having fun?
It's unbelievable, and frankly, it's an event that needs to be put in perspective as well. So, first, let's talk about Pop Warner. Pop Warner founded in 1929, and give us a little bit of history and where you are today.
It was founded a long time ago in North Philadelphia with what I have to believe was a different sounding motivation at the time, was to keep kids off the streets and out of trouble. And I have to believe that there's much more need for that today than there was in 1929, because I think things were a whole lot more benign in terms of kids' behavior then versus now. So we're delighted to do that. We are the only National Youth Sports Program that requires satisfactory progress in school, so we really believe in the combining of a healthy mind and a healthy body.
Well, let's talk about some of the unique aspects of Pop Warner. First of all, as far as participation goes, the stats that I've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you have about 325,000 total participants in Pop Warner, 225,000 football, 100,000 dance and cheer, but it's been steady for the last 4 years.
Yeah,
right?
That's correct. Our numbers have been good. They've remained solid, and we think that's great under the circumstances.
Well, let's talk about the circumstances. Let's get it out right now. The Hollywood treatment of concussions, but also the legitimate issue of CTE and all of the links. The science is evolving. How is Pop Warner, A, dealing with the situation, and B, evolving with the science?
Well, it starts back in 2010. We established our own medical advisory committee, and with their advice, we were the first National Youth Sports Organization to create our own concussion rule modeled on the Lysted Law from Washington State. And it's real simple. It says any head injury, participant is removed from play and can't return to participation until signed off on by a medical professional trained in concussion recognition. So it takes any questions, any pressure off the coach to say, gee, is he hurt? Does he have a concussion? Doesn't he? We'll let the medical professionals take care of that. Going forward in 2012, we were the first football organization at any level to institute rules limiting the amount and type of contact we allow in practice, which we have since modified further. And then this year for the 2016 season, we eliminated kickoffs in our 3 youngest age classes.
So those are factual responses to a problem. From an emotional perspective, is the media doing an adequate job of presenting the facts? Everybody worries about his own kid, male, female. Should they play football? What protections is Pop Warner having? Pop Warner is just one organization. There are a lot of others. So speak to that broadly.
Well, we now have statistics by an outside research organization showing that versus non-Pop Warner programs, in practice, we have 87% fewer overall injuries, 76% fewer concussions, and that was prior to eliminating kickoffs. So we're very proud of that. Certainly, the doctors on our medical advisory committee continue to remind us that we can't act in advance of the science. So with all the research going on, if further change is warranted, we certainly will be happy to do so. There's a tremendous amount of research going on now. We're finding out more every day, and in many ways, it's an exciting time.
It's an exciting time, but it's also a difficult time. There's a time of significant risk. I know for a fact that the insurance industry is needed to provide some significant support to the economics of this world. The premiums can crush you. So where is that going?
Nobody knows. Certainly, we're trying to work with the insurance industry to show that we have made the game safer, and we'll continue to do so. Also, a lot of doctors are now coming out, particularly in the pediatric area, saying that the dangers of inactivity far outweigh the dangers of any organized youth sports. I heard recently from a presentation from the CDC that if every child in America would do the minimum recommendation of 150 minutes of activity a week, we would have reduce long-term medical care costs by $52 billion, and those kids would live 37.5 million more years.
That's a lot of time.
You got it.
Love that time. Yeah. We're about to, I guess, have a game on this field, but before we start walking again, how do we wrap up the concussion issue? Put a bow on it for us, at least for now. Predict what's going to happen in the next 5 years and what you're doing about it.
Well, as I said, there's a tremendous amount of research. We are ready to respond any time for that. I found very interesting a study not too long ago out of Minnesota that showed found that the rate of dementia from the football players was exactly the same as the kids who had been in the band and the chorus. So I think there's something, I think tends to be an overreaction right now towards concussions in football. Kids get concussions in a whole variety of ways, and football is not the only one by any means. We're making the game safer.
Combination of leveling factual expectations, but also doing things about it, staying ahead of the science.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's never going to be any right answer on this. No. We all understand that. But let's go on to a couple other things. And, by the way, Morgan Madigan is our executive producer, and she is responsible for delivering the quality of this broadcast for the next 40 minutes. So I want to make sure there's no pressure on you, okay? And we're going to start by walking over to the sideline and continuing this conversation. So maybe you go this way and you and I then walk back, and we try to adjust the sound.
UAE players.
Where are they here? Yep, there. Good. Okay. Well, we'll deal with that as soon as you finish with this, which I think is important. So, look, we're also in a different perspective as far as Pop Warner is concerned. You have a relationship with the NFL. The NFL has USA Football, which they're also funding. They have their Heads Up initiative. How do you work directly with the NFL? Is there room for improvement? Are you happy with the way the NFL has dealt with this whole world?
We've had a great relationship, and it really is a three-way relationship between the NFL, USA Football, and us. We require all of our coaches to take the Heads Up football training program, which we believe very strongly in. We've said to the NFL, and they realize that, we're doing it the right way. We're doing absolutely the best we know to do, and as I mentioned, we'll be glad to continue evolving and changing the game. I mean, if you look back over 150 years of history of football, how it's evolved from where it was to where it is today, this is another step in the evolution.
Yeah, and so the one thing I've learned about Pop Warner on my board membership, as well as just learning about how people perceive this organization, is you have an amazingly loyal alumni base, 10 million plus, and you tap them, and you have people who have played in the NFL, but also successful business people who will do anything for you.
Yep. And it's the other thing that's fascinating is, give you an example. A couple years ago, I was introduced to Dominic Foxworth, who at the time was the president of the NFL Players Association. As soon as I said, I'm John Butler, I'm with Pop Warner, he immediately started reminiscing. I remember playing in the Pop Warner Super Bowl at Disney World.
Pop Warner, the way I can see it, is like your favorite high school or junior high school teacher, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you look back at that, and it's sky's the limit as far as talking about them and feeling good about them. And you have 10 million of those ambassadors.
Exactly.
Kind of interesting. Tell us a little bit about the age groups and just a little elevator speech about Pop Warner. You've got 5 to 15. The core is kind of 8 to 12. Exactly. And you got a challenger division. So talk a little bit about that.
We are in 38 states. We've got, as you mentioned, 325,000 young athletes involved. Everybody's got one of the interesting twists is we are open to both genders in both sports. So we have girls playing football. We've had a few down here this week. We have boys cheerleading. We have challenger division. We've had some very moving performances in cheer this week. We have a challenger football game going on behind us, and we try to be as absolutely as inclusive as possible for a whole variety of kids, and about 30% of our programs are in inner cities, so this is a very positive thing for them.
Tell us about Pop Warner Little Scholars. You have 8,500 annual awards given to kids who are above 96 grade point average, which is unbelievable.
They are just, and every year you just kind of go, whoa, this is an astounding group of young people. We tell them not to even submit an application unless they have at least a 96. We actually involve other addendum items just as a tiebreaker, and we award about $100,000 in college scholarships every year to the oldest of those scholars.
Yeah, and it gets better every year. Before we take a break for international, let's talk cheer for a minute. Good news this last week, cheerleading awarded provisional Olympic status. Now, it takes 7 years to shake it all out. They talk about 100 countries, and cheer is on the verge of becoming an Olympic sport. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. Excuse me. It truly is a sport, and I think one of the things that is very controversial, but in Title IX in the U.S., which is now, I believe, 43 years old, it says specifically cheerleading is not a sport, it's an extracurricular activity. That was probably true 43 years ago. No longer. It is very athletic, very gymnastic, and very demanding, and we feel very strongly that it is a sport, should be declared a sport both internationally and nationally.
And of course, not that simple. Are there some legal, legislative clearly, but are there some legal issues that dictate treatment of cheer differently if it's a sport versus not?
One or two states have declared it a sport at the high school level through their high school federations, but certainly there's legal considerations. I know there have been a couple of lawsuits over competitive cheerleading in colleges. They are trying to work it out and figure, and colleges now, if they want both a sideline cheer squad for football and basketball and other sports, and a competitive squad, they have to be separate athletes, separate squads, and it gets very convoluted.
Yeah, but hopefully this will clarify one way or another as the Olympic folk work through this. At least people understand that there is a platform to argue more than before that it is a sport.
Absolutely.
Clearly. All right, let's talk international, and then we've got a couple other special guests. 10 international teams here, but how is Pop Warner growing internationally?
We've had a league in Japan for probably 15 to 20 years now. We've got programs in Mexico that have been in for quite a while, and we're talking to the international folks about them becoming full members. They're here playing exhibition games. Love to have them in as full members of Pop Warner.
We'll talk Disney and ESPN and Wide World of Sports and what this venue is like in a couple minutes.
Okay.
But let's give the viewers a break from you, and let's talk about the reach that you have, including to the UAE. Just got back from Dubai, and I saw people playing while I was there. American football, you couldn't believe it. But one of the major bedrock foundations of international expansion of Pop Warner is the Emirates American Football League. So, guys, come on over.
Reggie.
These are guys from the EAFL
Awesome.
Falcons. Patrick Campos runs the league.
Patrick, you take this, and we don't have a big budget here, Patrick. I'm Rick Horrow. We have a mic, and you got to hold it.
No problem. I can do that.
And you guys, what's your name?
I'm
Louis. And what's your name?
Joaquin.
Joaquin and Louis. And Patrick, we're proud of you because I've done a little research, including, by the way, being over in Abu Dhabi and Dubai for 9 straight days this last week.
Oh, wow.
The Grand Prix, 9 golf courses, did some stuff for Facebook Live at the Grand Prix, Rugby Sevens. The most dynamic thing I saw was a camel race, which is unbelievable. Okay, can you guys outrun a camel? No? No, sir. Maybe it's tough, right? You can out-toughen the camel. So, Patrick, the one thing that I realized looking at Sport 360 and looking at some of the stuff is that, first of all, you're tenacious. Second of all, you're entrepreneurial. And third of all, and I'll let you tell the story, but you had 53 nationals, 53 different nations represented, and you also had tournaments in Serbia and Sri Lanka that you attended. So you basically are the pilgrim leader for American football as it goes east and west. So cool. How are you?
Thank you very much. Now, well, first of all, I mean, it's really been a community effort. My partner Dustin Chernowski and other partner who happens to be my wife as well, Julie Tepero, along with this fantastic community. Again, as you say, very multinational community, have put this together. We played, as you said, in Serbia, Sri Lanka, places like China and Germany and Amsterdam, and we've had teams from Kazakhstan and Russia come in to play us as well. We love doing this internationally. We love what Patrick's doing, and it was sort of a natural marriage with Patrick to bring this together and come out here.
So I'm driving to the Els course the first night, and I'm looking at the fields, and I'm thinking, wait a second, those aren't rugby goalposts, those are American goalposts. What the heck's going on? And then I see you guys probably practicing on the way here. That's an incredible, how many people in your whole organization?
So we've got about 450 players. We say that our community number is close to 5,000 when you start including all the families and everything else. We've got about, like I said, 24 teams comprising 6 clubs. So yeah, it's grown dramatically.
So where's your family from?
My family's from England.
Oh, okay. And how long you been in Dubai,
I've
Abu
been
Dhabi?
in Dubai for 5 years now.
Okay. And you decided that football, you could do anything, right? You do rugby.
I did play rugby. I got a bit bored and decided to try something new.
Wow, bit bored in rugby and he's football. That's a poster child for this.
It's possibly the best decision of my life.
Yeah. How long you been playing?
4 years now.
And what position?
I play linebacker.
Are you tough?
Yeah, I would say I'm tough.
Is he tough?
He is tough.
Yeah.
You should see his dad.
Yeah, I'm sure. So you got to grow a couple feet, but that'll happen.
Yes, sir.
Right? Are you quick?
Yeah, I would say I'm quite quick.
Okay, good. And Joaquin, Mexico? No, where?
My family's actually American, but on my father's side, there's some Mexican and Spanish roots.
Which is really cool because, the NFL just played a regular season game in Estadio Azteca.
Raiders versus Texans.
So you know that. Did you watch it?
Yeah,
But you watched it 9 hours late.
Yes,
I don't know how you guys do that, man. I was trying to watch the NFL while I was over there. Yeah, I can, but the games were on at 5 in the morning. That's got to be tough.
I just watched the highlights on NFL the next day.
Right. And so you guys are televised on Periscope, as I understand it.
Yeah, thanks to some enterprising parents that travel along with us. The games are being broadcast back to our community on Periscope.
Well, so not so fast. So what position? Yeah.
I play a middle linebacker and running back.
So why does he play offense and defense and you're just defense?
I do play offense, but I would say I play an array of positions on offense as a utility player.
That's really good. Awesome. So, and you're a running back?
Yes, sir.
And a linebacker?
Yes, sir.
Who's a better linebacker?
Personally, I would say it's Joaquin.
Wow, really?
I do learn a lot from Joaquin.
That's real. Who's older?
Me, sir.
Of course it's going to be that way, right? That's the bottom line. You wouldn't have heard that in America, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure. So, and you guys, and here's the last thing, and the commissioner of the league basically is here. So the one thing that I read from last year's 360, you were magnanimous, you were sportsmanlike, but the schedule was grueling, man. And I just did it, right? So I'm a big advocate. You come over here, and they give you, 3 hours before you play? That's not fair. It's not fair. It's really not fair. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
I'm not the one who schedules the game.
Who's, are you?
Tell them to get an earlier flight.
There's an answer. There's an answer. So, guys, thank you very much, man. You guys are, I assume that you are now kind of the outpost for American football as it relates to countries that nobody could have ever believed.
Well, we like to think so, and we love coming out here, and we were asking Pop Warner if they'd like to do a tournament in Dubai and bring international teams over there with us as well. So
time out. Does Pop Warner, and I'm on the board, so he better, is Pop Warner interested in putting a tournament on Dubai?
We actually sent a team with Patrick over to Moscow.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, after spending 9 days in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the UAE, there's money, there's interest, there's money, and there's money. Hey, and those are 5 darn good reasons to put a deal together, right? Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You.
Thanks a
really
lot.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Well worth the break from John Butler, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get back to. Thank you. Hey, that was. That was. Oh, you're playing?
Yeah, they're playing
right now
on the next field right over here.
Okay, we'll watch you.
Right
New fans, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick, thank you. Appreciate that. That was about as good as it gets. We have a major commitment from Pop Warner to expand its world into Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and the UAE, and you heard it here. So, how's that? Okay. Let's talk a little bit, John, and then we'll talk cheerlead. Let's talk a little bit about this complex. So, Disney complex, 70 sports, 225 acres. The reason why that's important is this is your 60th Super Bowl, but you've had the last 20 here. So tell us about the relationship.
Well, the relationship with Disney actually goes back to 1958. We have a picture of grandstands with Walt Disney waving at the camera with a banner over his head saying the first ever Disneyland Pop Warner Bowl, which they continued for a number of years. And then another photo in 1972 when Disney World opened, we have a picture of 3 Disney characters with 3 Pop Warner kids in uniform for the first ever Disney World Pop Warner Bowl. Plus the fact that when Walt was still alive in 1961, he created 2-hour special on TV called Moochie of Pop Warner.
Wow.
And then we started here in 1997, the year the complex opened. And as an event organizer, I have to tell you, especially because we're working with young people, the first priorities you look for are security, transportation, and stuff for kids to do when they're not competing. And we're better to do that than Disney World.
So, 70 sports, this is from their website, 70 sports, over 100 events a year.
Over 200.
Over 200 events a year, and obviously they're not stupid because they make the heads and beds calculation that people are going to spend X plus time at the theme park as if they have their whole family here and coming for a few extra days. So 16 baseball and softball fields, 18 soccer, lacrosse, 2 field houses for basketball and volleyball, 10 tennis courts, the Champion Stadium, new balanced track facility. Let's pan for a second over here.
Okay.
Executive producer Morgan Madison. And this is right over here, the Jostens?
No, that's HP Fieldhouse.
That's HP Fieldhouse.
Yep.
With basketball, your cheer. Basketball.
Yep. Volleyball, roller hockey, you name it. They do it all in there.
Okay, pan a little bit to the right. Those are other fields. We got 16 total softball, baseball, 18 total soccer, lacrosse.
Yep.
They may be adding more as we speak. And Morgan, go a little bit left. This is the Jostens Center. What's in there?
It's just a big open athletic space. It can be netted off to 6 basketball courts, 6 volleyball courts, playing games simultaneously. We use it over the course of this week for practice for our cheer squad, so they have 4 strip mats for stretching and tumbling and 4 full-size cheer mats with separate sound systems for full squad practice.
Let's start walking over here because I want to get a view of the new arena, and then we'll talk cheer, and we'll test Morgan Madigan's ability to walk backwards. Are you okay so far? You handling it? Okay. Well, you go to Dayton, right? And they have a big basketball program. Do they teach you how to walk backwards? All right. Good. No comment. So, what we're seeing, pan over there a little bit. You can see the Jostens Center. We're in the middle of a Challenger game on the sideline, by the way, which John Butler, as the executive director, can walk on water. He can certainly walk on the field as well. So let's keep panning. Let's keep walking and panning so we can take a look at what's over there. You know, John, as we're walking and talking, you know, the June 23rd Brexit vote, ultimately the impact is pound is now at a 31-year low, and you bring 10,000 domestic and international kids to Disney. Well, a lot of international. We don't know what the number is.
Right.
But I guess my point is that as Orlando faces a tourism, not crisis, but some reduction, you guys play even more of an important role to help generate significant events and numbers.
And the relationship is great. I mean, Disney does a lot for us. They, as you saw last night, they actually closed one of the theme parks during the week we're down here. We have a private Pop Warner party for 4 hours for this year about 13,000 people. Only our closest friends.
Yeah, exactly. Splendid. To see the kids, by the way, you know, if you have a 9-year-old kid and that 9-year-old kid has played football, and let's say he's an inner city kid, and he comes here to play in a championship that's on ESPN 3.
Yep.
And hear his name on ESPN 3, but then go into the animal kingdom and see all the tourists upset because they're leaving and they're clearing the park for you for an exclusive 4-hour period. That's pretty stout.
Oh, yeah. And it's great for these kids. It's, as you said, there's an awful lot of them that would not get to Disney World if it wasn't for our event or some similar event. And the other thing they do is they charter, I haven't heard a number this year, but they had 11,000 people that they delivered to that party in about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive.
So the point is, they do a lot for you, but you also do a lot for them because of the over 200, nearly 200 events. You're in the top 5, maybe among the top in terms of economic impact that you generate. Rooms in heads in beds and 10,000 kids coming in. That's kids plus the parents, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. No,
Yeah.
it's relationships got to work both ways, and this one certainly does, and has and continues to.
So Disney making the claim that it's the amateur sports capital of the world, it took some foresight to say we have 225 acres. We could build a fourth theme park. We could develop more retail. We could develop another set of hotels. But yet they donated significant land to sports that they never would have done otherwise. Kind of interesting and compelling.
Well, and think back when we first started discussions with them, it was 1993 or 4, and if there was a slow time at Disney at that time, it was this week. It was post-Thanksgiving, pre-holiday, and I think they looked for something that would help fill what was then a slow season. And lately, I think, and it's a couple years dated, I think Disney's running about 94% occupancy year-round. They don't have any downtimes anymore. But still a great time for us to be here. People have said, "Oh, you should do it at a different time of year." And football season's in the fall, and you got to have championships at the end of the season. You can't postpone them for a couple months, so it's a perfect time for us.
And it's a perfect time for ESPN as well, and it's a perfect time for football because it's the week after the conference championships, the week before the Heisman, and it's fit right in the middle of football, but it's not dominated and diluted by the NFL, really.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So that's enough of my infomercial on it. But one more thing I want to talk to you about Disney. Pan over to the side of Jostens. We're not going to get any closer to it because it's the shell of any arena you could see. But Disney said, all right, we've got a lot of facilities here, so we have some extra money, and let's build a new arena. So tell us what you know about that new arena they're building.
It should be done in just over a year, around the 1st of January 2018. Over 3 million square feet. Seating capacity is about 8,000, from what I understand. And the initial principal events going on there will be cheer events.
Which is an incredible building when you think of the economics of it.
Yep.
How does Disney justify or allocate return on investment? Is it a formula based on extra days in theme park, extra hotel nights?
No.
I mean, we don't know.
No, I'm not the one to answer that.
And by the way, they wouldn't answer that either, but you would expect their calculation is based on total incremental additional room nights and total incremental revenue generated in other parts of the facility.
One
You think so?
One would think, yeah.
Yeah. All right, final question for you, then we're going to get Kelly in here to talk cheer. Give us your overall summary. You've been at this for how many years?
25.
So John Butler's been the executive director of this brand for 25 years, and I got to tell you, somebody who cares about this brand. Where is Pop Warner going, and where do you think it'll be 5 years from now?
I think we're in a good position. I think, we talked about the steps we've taken in safety, which we will continue to take. We are the oldest and largest youth cheer organization also. I think we're in a very good place with cheerleading, particularly as that becomes recognized more as a sport versus an extracurricular activity. We tend to be more of a grassroots program versus the all-star programs. We don't allow any all-stars or individual recognition for what the children do athletically. So we think we're very inclusive. We tie in the academics. I think that will all continue to grow. And I look for nothing but growth, just steady growth over the years.
John, really appreciate your time and appreciate your ability to kind of set this up as well and give people a special insight into Pop Warner. But that's only part of it because Pop Warner, again, the 2/3 of the participants broadly defined are the male football players, but the 100,000 cheer and dance participants are very important at Pop Warner, and Kelly Nicholson's going to tell us about that too. Thank you. Seamless transition.
Yes,
See, what we do normally is in big time events, you hand a large mic or you have 15 cameras. Here it is. So thanks, Kelly. Thank you for doing that. So you've been coaching in some form since you told me 1986.
Yes.
Which is a huge commitment to this world. Tell us a little bit about how cheer has evolved in the last 25 years, 20 years.
Well, when I was in high school many years ago, cheerleading was just sideline cheerleading. It was cheering for the football team, cheering for the basketball team, and as the sport has evolved, it's become incredibly competitive. It's very demanding on the athletes, and it is, absolutely grown tremendously.
Well, grown to the point that there are 415 squads here this week for the Cheer and Dance Championship, which, as far as the economics are concerned, pretty compelling.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of money exchanging of
high school cheer to all-star cheer to Pop Warner cheer. In your vast experience, what's the comparison?
There is no comparison. Pop Warner by far is my favorite to coach. There is a sense of family, a sense of team. Because there is no tryout, every participant gets to participate. They don't get to choose who plays and who doesn't play. You don't get to bring in a new member if somebody's injured. You have to figure it out and modify the routine and change things up to accommodate for any injury or child who leaves the program. You don't have that in All-Stars. You can have girls come and go off a team with All-Stars. I coached All-Star teams, and sometimes you don't even learn each other's names as a participant. It is a whole different level of cheerleading.
Does that start at the top with you and John? Does that start? And I don't really know, but it sounds like something that is cultural and hard to change. So what's the big reason for the differences?
I think Pop Warner has always instilled a sense of family. I think that is what Pop Warner is about. With the scholastics requirement with Pop Warner, that's what families are looking for. And it's not nearly as expensive as putting your child in All-Stars. All-Stars is a very costly sport for any young parents to try to afford.
And we use the word sport, and that's been a controversy over the last few years. Obviously, Title IX with a specific exclusion of cheer as sport, and who knows how that got there. But we now know that the Olympic Committee, at least provisionally, is looking at making cheerleading being a sport as early as 8 years from now with the decision over time. It is provisional. We don't know if it's really going to happen or not. But how does that impact what you do for a living?
It would impact the collegiate world and the high school world tremendously. It would allow them the facilities that they need to participate in. It would allow them the funding to get better trainers, to get the physicians, the same access that all of the other sports are able to have. And cheerleading does not get to access that right now. And it would be a tremendous advancement for the sport.
What does cheer and dance look like 2, 3, 4 years from now in your world?
In my world?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see.
Rick Horrow keeping score, the Facebook Live at Disney with Pop Warner, the challenge, the cheer. You thought you had enough of me. You thought it was over. Well, we're going to add this, and hopefully best internet plans of life are changed with Facebook Live. They'll get that fixed better. And I guess when you think about all of the stuff we did today, if I'm going to get cut, that's not a bad thing because everybody's incredible. It just really warms my heart to see kids out here in wheelchairs and kids out here with disabilities, learning and otherwise, who are playing a game. We didn't focus on that for the few minutes that we had all of our people here, but it is heartwarming and incredible nonetheless. It tells you, again, about the power of sport. But, when you think about it, just kind of in